Welcome back to my Self-Love with Sarah podcast. We are making goodness attractive. And today I have Ashli Helm with us.
Hi.
I'm so excited, not only excited, but very honored to have you here. I have been inspired by you for many years and many people are inspired by you. So we're excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me here.
You're welcome.
I'm excited to be here too.
Good.
Yeah.
We just want to, basically talk to you guys. We have done many steps of life together, me and Ashli. We walked pretty much on that same path, I think.
Yeah.
For what? I don't know, 15 years?
Since easily 15 years.
Right?
If not more.
Yeah.
At this point. Yeah.
I mean, we weren't really connected then, but we knew each other.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we kind of did like all the things together. I mean, we're in fitness together. Then we became moms around the same time. We got married around the same time. We literally either you had the baby first.
I don't remember. I think maybe, yes. I was like pregnant and then you were like right after me, I think.
Yeah.
Immediately. Like we were just back to back with everything.
Mm-hmm. So
crazy.
Yeah. So that we've done it all together. And even there was one time where we were kind of like competing with each other because we were bodybuilding together. So that was not really, that was like that
was our unhealed era. Yeah. And I think it's good and healthy to talk about that too, though, because I think a lot of people, when they're struggling or going through stuff or we tend to get into competition or feel jealous or envy, but look at us, like look how far we've come and the healing that we've done.
For sure.
That industry too does nothing but create competitive nature.
Yeah.
It's a competitive sport.
Yeah.
So
And I was an athlete, you were too. We were already competitive people.
Yeah.
And that definitely did not help.
Add alpha to the mix.
And then add two alpha females, like very strong personalities. Yeah. We didn't even then we didn't even know each other, how we know each other now.
Yeah.
So we that was a fun time.
It was a fun time.
And then I think let's just talk about you real quick. Let's talk about your steps of life, your journey, where you're at.
Yeah.
Who you are. Introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Ashli Helm. I'm really excited to be here today. And as Sarah said, she mentioned that I'm an inspiration to many, but really you're an inspiration to so many. I want to mention that as well.
Thank you.
And you've inspired me in so many ways. And I know a lot of what we're going to talk about today too, but my biggest inspiration this year was with faith and really having me just dive back into that journey. And had I not been inspired by you to do so, I really don't even know that I'd be in the place that I am right now. So I don't even know if you know that impact because, even with therapy, I got into therapy. Remember we talked about that and I started it, but it wasn't until I really dove into faith that I feel like this whole year is transformed. And that's because of you,
You're going to make me cry already. We're not supposed to cry this early.
You're not supposed to cry this early, but I'm sweating. It's okay. But it's true. I want you to know that because I think it's a beautiful gift. And I don't even know if you realize how many people you're inspiring with that. And so that inspiration has that ripple effect. And then now look, but yeah, so I'm Ashli Helm. I'm here in New York. And as Sarah mentioned, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and I'm about to move to Florida.
That's another thing.
Yeah, that's the most exciting thing right now. We just sold our home here and it can be scary, but it's so exciting to think about this new journey we're going to go on and all of that. And I can't wait to just meet new people and new networks and impact even more people,
Truly.
And just where I'm at right now is I'm in a transition. So I'm transitioning careers. I'm transitioning home where I live. And I'm excited for it. In that transition, I'm really excited for it. But, I'm ready for this next journey.
One thing I want to touch on now that you're saying all this, I think the one difference between me is you struggle with change. You love it, right?
I love it, but I struggle.
You're like a super control
Yes.
freak as far as, and I'm more like a little bit let go of stuff. And I think your faith being in that place has changed that.
Yes.
Which I want to touch on because that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I've watched you over the years with change and stuff and I've watched it let it cripple you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that's amazing that, that faith has changed that. And I think that's important for everyone to realize.
I was just talking about this crazy enough. I was talking about this 2 days ago, actually on my Instagram, on my live. I was talking about surrendering to God, trusting, releasing that need to control, because that was something I battled for a really long time. I mean, we're talking inner child trauma that made me this control freak. And I say control freak in air quotes because it's you don't want to label yourself. I
Right.
always think to people, I'm like, it's all good. Like,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, but yes, very much a control freak. And I'll never forget a few years ago, I was doing a wellness event and a woman actually said this to me. She was supposed to be like, I don't know, she was supposed to be like somebody like guide you and help you, but she like called me out on it. And
you
I
were
was
not
like,
all right with that.
I was not all right with it. Like, I'm not going to curse right now on this podcast, but I was not all right with it. But honestly, it was what triggered me. And then I had to say, well, why did it trigger me? Because it was my truth. Like, I
Right.
was this control freak. I didn't really know how to live, just like, let it go. It's going to happen. And what I have found in this last year, diving more into my faith, is truly you can't control anything. At the end of the day, we only are in control of our own actions, right? Like in the moment, what we decide, what we do. But when you surrender the need to control to God, so many beautiful doors open and so much peace comes into your life. And I know that that has improved my marriage, my relationships, like my friendships, my daughter and I, like even just this move. Like yesterday I started to box some stuff. Like I was going through organizing. I started getting like a little overwhelmed. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna take a breath. It's gonna be okay. Like it's all good. And and having those tools to know when those little old pieces start to creep back in.
Truly, because they're always, and I think me and you touched on that, how they do come back. We talked about this the other day. Those little triggers, they come and
they're always going to.
Yep. And it's just how you work with it, how you navigate it.
Yeah.
And I think that I and you have done a really good job at just, releasing and just giving it to God.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's like even yesterday at church, our service was about anchoring in your faith and releasing and trusting. And I think that it's such a beautiful reminder of where we're at, especially as now this transition is coming. I'm like, okay, you got this, God. Not like I've got it, but He's got me.
Right.
So in that sense, I'm like, all right, like whatever, it's going to be good. And it's a beautiful thing because it's really done some damage for me over the years, I think, but I also think if I didn't go through all that, I wouldn't be where I am today.
No, same.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
Thank you.
Definitely. I've seen like weight lifted off of just even looking in your eyes.
I just feel happy.
Yeah.
Like it's not that I was
You're
never
always
happy.
Oh
but
no,
it's like
you're the happiest person I know.
It's like this weight is lifted.
Yeah.
And even literally so many changes have happened in the last year of my life. And
which is like, could you imagine, like the most crazy.
Right. And things that I thought would cripple me instead left me empowered more so. So I'm like, all right, like it's all good. It's part of life, and I'm not going to get crazy and try to control it or, be angry. I'm just like, all right, God, what you got next?
Yeah,
like what's coming next,
I know. Tell me.
Yeah. And then you too, like you figure out what's really important and what's not important anymore. Like some of the things you put like priority over, it's like, is it really that serious? Is it really that important? And it's not, you start to really see that.
One thing I've seen a huge change in the last year is that what is important and what's not, and it's same for me too. I think when I, started this journey with God, I really was, the material things, everything. I mean, we're bougie bitches.
Yeah, we are.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we work hard. It's not like but that's I've seen a change in you in there and me as well. And it's just like, we don't need all these you don't need this shit.
No. And you know what? It's funny because you say that and it's true because I used to put value in material things. Like, oh, if I have that bag or I have those shoes or I have all these things that somehow equated
to what about what we do on social media?
Yeah.
Like we have to look apart,
Well, now I'm just like, I'm wearing the same pants I've been wearing all week or the last season. Like a lot of people now are like, where'd you get that? I'm like, oh, it's like 5 years old now. Like I'm not trying to keep up with the Joneses anymore because what is that doing for me? And like you said, when you dive into your faith, you really realize like that the weight of the material things you have doesn't matter.
Truly.
It's nice, but
before I got my condo, I remember I used to be so embarrassed to go on Instagram because I lived in this little apartment. Yeah. And I'm like, how am I going to, because you just look at the influencers and everything, they're in these big, white, clean like houses. And I'm like, I can't do this, Yeah. And it's those little things that just don't define you.
Same. Like when the house that we just sold, when we first moved in, I was like,
like, it's like we were embarrassed.
Yes. I was like, there's vinyl flooring. The oven was literally from like 1948. I'm not even joking. It was like the oldest oven ever. And I was like, this is my house. Like some people don't even have a house.
Right.
And then you have that reality check where you're like, some people don't even have a home or even a home that's full of love.
Right.
Like here I am in this home with the husband who loves me and I have a beautiful daughter. And it's like, be grateful, and that's the other thing, the gratitude, like each day remembering to be grateful for so much. And even like this summer when Kevin got sick, that was another like,
huge.
I was like, oh my gosh, like he's going to be all right. Like I knew he was going to be all right.
Yeah,
but I
he's a
also was
fighter.
like, what if not?
Mhm.
And then I started going down that. And I'm like, oh, cool. So you have all these nice things, but at the end of the day, you don't have him.
Right.
So like what really matters?
Mhm.
And I think like, it's not that I never knew what really mattered, but I
Mhm.
think when you really dive into that side of things with faith, you realize what's really important and what's not. And
Truly.
again, going back to that, it's like having nice things is okay, but it doesn't make you who you are. It's not your
No.
worth. And that's another thing I keep reminding people, like, yeah, we're on social media and we show up and, you know, listen, we're hard workers, we're hustlers. Like we want to inspire, but the core of who we are, like I want people to feel good for who they are.
Right.
Not try to be like anyone else.
Right.
Be who they are,
Be
but
who you
the
are.
core of who they are, be, you know, just be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah.
Let's touch on Kevin.
Let's touch on
We
Kevin.
love you, Kev. So
Yeah.
glad you're still here with us.
I know.
That was a hard time. I just
It
want to
was.
shout him out. You know, definitely
Yeah.
a hard time. And I think your marriage and everything has shifted so much.
Absolutely.
You know, I have to be personal right now about mine and
Yeah.
walking into our faith. And it just, you know, some things just don't work out. I want to say that I've really seen a change in you guys and everything that you've done. And you're doing the work.
Thank you.
It takes two to tango. It takes two to do the work. And
Yeah.
I've seen him do the work. Super
Yeah.
proud of him for sure.
Yeah, I know everyone's always like, can you get Kevin to do a podcast? I'm like, you know, like respectfully, it's just like not
his
Kevin's thing.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like he's great. He is so great. And this year too, same thing. His faith journey has changed him. It's strengthened our marriage. It's challenged our marriage though too in such a really healthy way. Like I would say we've been together 9 years in October. We'll be together. And this is like the first time in the 9 years. I'm like, man, we're like so close in every aspect of the relationship. Not that we weren't before, but there's just so many things that like we were still both healing on and dealing with. And, you know, a lot of times I have a tendency to be defensive. Even still, it goes back to that inner child trauma, always feeling I have to defend myself.
Yeah.
And this year's been so healthy for us. And even after we got baptized together, like it's been great.
Yeah.
It's been so great. Yeah. So thank you.
It takes two. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
it really does. Like me and Brendan did the same thing, but you know, it takes two people to truly do the work and then come together. And if the one isn't, you know, it's, you know.
Yeah, it's hard. It's challenging.
It is. So
Yeah,
I'm proud of him for sure.
Me too.
I'm proud of you, but I'm proud of both of you.
I'm proud of him.
Yeah.
I am. Cause you know, I don't think enough men are like praised, right?
No.
And I try to do my best to remind him, like I'll just text him randomly, like, you know, hey babe, I'm just grateful for everything you do for the family. Like I love you so much. Because he works his ass off. Like he does. He works his ass off to provide the life that we have and to be all the things, to be like the present loving husband, to be the present loving father, to run the business, be a friend. It's a lot.
As a friend, like as, you know,
Yeah.
he's changed so much even as a friend to me, which has been amazing. You know, he's been there for me so much in the last 6 months or whatever, however long it's been. I mean, even before, but like, so, you know, as a male friend, it's just, he's totally.
I know. I love that.
He's good.
I know.
He's good.
He's got a good heart.
He does.
He does. He's a good man.
Let's talk about Florida.
Let's talk about Florida.
What's like, oh my goodness.
I know. So actually, it's so funny. This morning he sent me a listing. I was like half asleep, like one eye open. And I'm like, I don't like it. Instantly, he's like, did you even look at it? I'm
Did you swipe? Did you look?
I like looked at one thing and I was like, blue? Like, okay, so the blue cabinets.
Yeah,
just
it's a
like
thing
your blue.
right now.
It's a thing. So then what did I do? I literally Googled, what does the color blue do to your mood?
No, you didn't.
And yeah, it's actually really good for you.
Really?
It's calming. It lowers your blood pressure, reduces stress, promotes like all this positive stuff. So I was like, I'm gonna go back to the listing. So I'm like on the listing and I'm like, I actually like it because it's like the blue with the gold.
Okay.
High ceilings, lots of natural light. And I'm like, and it's a ranch, which I think I'm like loving that because I don't really want to deal with stairs.
I love the ranch.
So I'm like, okay, this is nice. And I go back through and I'm like, I actually do really like it. And he's like, yeah, did you even look at it? I'm like, not really. Like, shot it down. I saw like a blue door and I was like, no. I can't do it. And he's like, we're not
Look at
buying
what
a house
you did
that
to
we're
your
painting.
house.
I know.
You changed it.
I know. A million times. And I'm like, you
yeah.
know, whatever. Like I can add my touches and it'll be fine. But I'm like, really excited about it. We're going to go down the end of the month and we're going to look.
Good.
I'm hoping we're supposed to get some videos back today of that specific listing. Because if we like it, we'll put a deposit on it.
So the realtor will take a video. Yeah. Good.
Yeah. Because I'm like, it's in the best community in the area we're looking for. The schools are good there. It has like, you know, the park, the gym, all the things that we need or whatever.
So it's in a community.
It is. Yeah.
Good.
I want to be in a community, especially with Riley.
I wish, I mean, I'm in an HOA community. I wish I did, because now that I'm going down by myself, I like, you know.
There's no pool where you are, right? Like a community.
That's what I mean. There's no like community pool.
Because that's, you know, like it's hard, Riley, you know, she's the only child. So when we go places, it's like I'm the playmate. Right. So I'm like, if we go to a community park or pool, you might make some friends and I don't have to be the one to be the mermaid. Yeah. Yeah. Like I could just tan. No, so yeah. I mean,
because that's hard.
It is hard. It's so hard. But I'm excited about Florida because there's just so much more to do.
So much opportunity.
So much opportunity.
The sun shines.
The sun shines. The girl I need vitamin D. Yeah. And the beach. Like I'm very much like a water person. Take me to the beach and I could be in the worst mood ever. Put me on the beach and it's like a 180. So that's what I need. But yeah, I'm excited about Florida. I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited. Yeah. You know.
And Ashley's going to be like, not too far from me. So
I know. Yeah. I'm like, I'm coming over.
Yeah.
Because, you know.
Yeah. Listen, we're not leaving each other once I'm down there.
No, it's going to be so fun and so great. And then hopefully you can be there full time too one day so that.
Been praying.
I know. Yeah. That would be great. So that we can really be like, okay, sleepovers.
I know. It's going to be
funny
exciting.
too. Riley likes to tell me, she's like, Graham is my boyfriend, but I'm not allowed to have one. So now she's back on that kick. You guys.
It's so funny. Graham's talking about this the other day too. Because I'm like, he has this little girl in his class that's been there all, you know, and I'm like, you know, I said her name and I'm like, is that your girlfriend? He's like, no, mommy, it's Riley. And I'm like, he said this twice last week.
Oh, that's so cute. Yeah, Riley brings it up. She actually was laughing the other day and she goes, I told my friend that Graham and I are going to get married.
Could you imagine?
I was like, okay. I was like, well, can you not worry about that? Because we're 5. Yeah. I tell her now she can worry about it when she's 40. And she's always like.
So funny. Is she excited about Florida?
She is. Now
she understands.
I think she's like warming up to it more now. This morning, Kevin was showing her that listing and she was like, oh, I like this. Like, I like that house. And you know, originally we were going to go down and look. We weren't going to bring her because I was like, oh, it's just going to be like a pain in the butt going in and out, like looking at all these houses. And I'm like, actually, I want her to come because I want her to have a say.
Be part of it.
Like I want her to be like, yeah, I do like this home, or maybe no, I don't. Like, right. You know, obviously at the end of the day, it is up to me and Kevin, but I want her to feel involved and very much a part of it. It's a huge transition for her too. And, you know, it was tough in the beginning when we told her. She was very much like, I'm not leaving here. We're not moving. And now she's warming up to it. She's more excited. She thinks she's getting a chameleon.
Yeah. As a pet?
As a pet.
Oh my goodness.
She was, can I get a chameleon? I'm like, and Kevin's like, yeah, when we moved to Florida, I'm like, are you guys cleaning the stuff? Because I'm not dealing with like a critter, a reptile in my house. Sorry. I already have a pig.
They're outside. She can play with the ones outside. Yeah. The little
but she's,
lizards.
You know, she's definitely warming up to it. She's excited. And my childhood best friend is there, Stacy, and her and her daughter, Mia, are best friends. And it's like, you know, they're only going to be like 45-minute drive. It's perfect. So we'll have, you know, there's other people there too. And Kevin's friend just moved down there. So it's like everyone's going.
Good. I know. Everyone's going.
Everyone's going.
Who's coming with?
Yeah.
Let's go. You're next. You're next.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah. It's so great down there. It's just different. It's a different way of life.
Even you said it and I said it when you went to visit last time, how different you felt. Like it really is a different feeling.
You feel like
what did you say? I felt
my jaw, right?
Yeah, your locked jaw.
Because I like clench when I sleep, and here it's gotten like I usually get Botox in my jaw because it's so bad. So I actually got a mouth guard from my dentist. But when we went to Florida, I didn't want to bring it. I was like, I'm not dealing with bringing this mouth guard, and I didn't clench at all. Normally, I wake up, I have to massage my jaw, I have to like literally like I've got golf balls in here, and it wasn't like that the entire time I was there. I was like, oh, this is so beautiful because I was just relaxed. And you know, some people were like, oh, isn't it because you were on vacation? I'm like. No, because I go to other places and still clench. Right. It's just like my body feels at ease there. At ease. You know, it's that water. I'm telling you, it's just it's just great.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not worried about hurricanes. How many people have told you about that too? If I hear one more person tell me hurricanes, I'm like, it's all relative.
I'd rather deal with a hurricane than like a gloomy 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That we deal with here.
I know. I'm like, it is what it is. Like I told Kevin, wherever we live, I want it to be close enough to like a highway so that if the hurricane comes, I get my ass in a car. And
that's it. Yeah.
I'm 75 is right there. Sits and waits.
I'm 75. It's right where we're going to be.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. It's going to work out. But I'm excited about it. It's going to be great.
Good. I'm excited for you guys. Yeah. It's a big step. Proud of you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Let's talk about your wellness journey and what's going on. You're changing careers. How do you feel?
I feel good. Yeah. You know, I obviously, like, what is it? Almost 17 years now. It makes me feel so old to say that. But for 17 years now, I've been in fitness. That's crazy. I know. Isn't that crazy? Whoa. 17 years.
Can we take a sip of coffee to that?
Yeah, we could take a sip of coffee to that. 17 17 years.
Holy
I'm going to be 40 this November, guys. 40, the big 40. But yeah, so 17 years. And it's crazy to think my journey's been nuts. Like, right? Like, so starting out the competitive bodybuilding, then kind of recovering from that because then I was in a terrible state. And then going into just straight wellness. And wellness to me meaning like just eat the things that make you feel good, have that 80-20. But if you want the chocolate cake, eat the chocolate cake, like not having the shame of the guilt with the food anymore. And so it's been like this beautiful ride. And I feel like I'm in a really great place. And then now the career change, like this last year, I just wasn't feeling aligned where I was anymore with like my previous company that I was working with. And, a lot of people like were like, it felt like it was so abrupt, but for me, it really wasn't because it had been like months. I had been feeling like,
I felt it
just
for
not
you.
aligned, like I always say it's like trying to put a square peg in a circle or a circle in a, whatever. Like you can't, whatever that statement is. Yeah. You know what I mean?
You just can't, it doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit. You can't make it happen. And that's kind of how I felt for months and months. And then finally I was like, you know what? You just gotta let it go. Like kind of like where I'm at with my faith. It's like, just trust God. There's something else out there. Like, and as I was feeling like it was time to let it go, this whole other opportunity came about, and I'm really excited for it because it's definitely the future.
I think you thought it was like the social media thing. I think you thought you were done with that, but really, you were like, no, it was the other thing.
It was the other thing because really what happened was, and this can happen for a lot of people when you're building a brand and you have so many different components to your brand. If one piece of it I find takes over more, you kind of lose yourself.
Yeah.
And a lot of times with affiliate marketing or network marketing, a lot of people do lose themselves in it. They get so wrapped up in the whatever, you know what I mean? The industry of doing it that they forget like, well, who are they? What do they like to do? What makes them them? And that's kind of, a lot of people be like, no, I didn't see that. I'm like, I did. I feel like I became that company instead of like being me and having that just be a piece of who I was. And not that it was an unhealthy thing, biggest blessing my family had,
Oh, for sure.
Really helped me with my leadership growth, even just my confidence, which is so crazy because like I've always hated public speaking. You would never know.
No.
But terribly afraid, like literally think I'm sweating now. Like I used to be like, oh my God, like the thought of it would give me like immense anxiety. And then like doing that showed me, no, actually, I really do love it.
I'm actually built for this.
Yeah, like I love this, right? Yeah. And so, of course, a lot of growth there. But yeah, I started to feel like, am I over social media? Am I over influencing? Right. And it really wasn't that because as soon as I cut ties with the previous thing I was doing and I just stepped back into like what makes Ashli happy, I was like, oh, I love this.
Yeah.
Like I love doing this. I just had to get back to like the root of who I was. And so now I'll be launching this new wellness company in October and I'm just freaking so fired up because
I see it. I
love see that God, I really feel like he set me up for this because he was like, all right, I'm going to put you in this situation. I'm going to take you through it. And then when you get out of it, I'm going to show you that you're ready for like the next level of leadership that you really have been craving.
Yeah.
I'm just.
Oh, you're going to forget it.
Yeah.
You're going to be the top of that company.
Well, thank you.
You're going to be speaking for all of it.
So it's what I want. And I want even more so it's just the impact, all those people. Like this time around, it's like I want to show people like, listen, I can really help change your life.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Good.
I'm excited for the products too because your girl needs it.
I'm excited to see what this is all about.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
So my next question is, what does self-love look like to you? I mean, we know it. You show it on your social media a lot. I think it has changed since you've stepped deeper and dived deeper into your faith. So what does it look like to you nowadays?
Yeah, so it used to look like, what does Ashli need? Take care of Ashli, like, the journaling, wake up, work out, move my body, like self-love, like did you shower? Did you brush your teeth?
Of course.
And then also just obviously working on like my own mental health, like loving myself. And I think that's a great thing, right? So for people out there now that's their self-love, like where they're like, well, I feel good about my self-love. I think there can also be a little bit of like a toxic side to it.
For sure.
And I think diving into my faith had shown me that it was a little bit like, it wasn't that I wasn't doing the right things.
It was like material things for me, right?
Material.
Like the eyelashes, the nails, like all those.
Chasing the wrong things,
right.
100%. Like even just down to like, okay, like self-love, like, do you feel like you look pretty enough? Like what you're talking about, even the material things, like
getting an outfit for anything we did, like stupid stuff like that.
Stupid stuff like that for sure. And it's like, well, that's not really self-love.
Right.
And I think when it comes down to is like, there's something that like some people will say like, oh, well, if you can't love yourself, you can't love someone else. And I don't think that's true actually. I think you can love anyone.
Yeah.
But you want to love yourself, of course, because if you're the best version of yourself, then you can give others the best version of yourself. But I think if you don't, in my opinion, if you don't have a relationship with God,
Yeah.
then how do you really love yourself?
Right.
Because I think a lot of us will learn to love ourselves in the eyes of other people.
The world.
The world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how does the world view me? How does my husband view me? How do my friends view me?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, well, how does God view me?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really where my self-love changed this year, because I was like, okay, like, especially being an influencer, you've got to be so mindful and have that self-awareness, because it's like, okay, well, who am I for this person? Who am I for this person? What, like, this friend loves me for that, but like, or, this person online loves me because of this or whatever. But it's like, well, how do I love me?
Right.
And again, how does God love me?
Mm-hmm.
And that changed for me too, because it's like, you start to not make self-love so like, it's not like aloof. It's not like this, I don't know. For me, this year, it's more about like, what's my relationship with God like? Truthfully.
Yeah.
And then so that's where I've changed what I do is like, I wake up in the morning, I'm still doing the journaling, but it's different. I'm going to my devotional first.
Mm-hmm.
I still try to stay off my phone for at least an hour.
Yeah.
Like getting on there and checking anything when I first wake up. But going to that daily devotional, reading it, going to my Bible, then journaling, and then journaling about like, well, how am I feeling?
Right.
And it's not always positive. It's not always like, I'm feeling great today. But on the days I'm not feeling great, I'm just like, remind me who I am in your eyes. I'm not perfect. I don't want to be perfect.
No.
And I think for a long time, like self-love for me was like, I gotta be perfect, right? Like I'm not going to be, and I don't want to be. I just want to be like solid, like content, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so self-love, I mean, it has so many different moving parts and components, but I think at the root of what it is like, if you're faith-based, and you're listening, it's like, what's your relationship like with God?
Yeah.
And I used to always say, like, for example, in my relationship and my marriage, I used to say my marriage comes first, then my relationship with my daughter. And people used to be like, what? And I'm like, yeah, because if you don't have a marriage, what happens when your kids up and leave? You got nothing.
Truly.
But now it's like, what's my relationship with God?
100%.
Then what's my relationship with my marriage? Then what's my relationship with my daughter? Then my friends, then the world, And I think that has changed everything for me, for sure.
Yeah. I love that. I remember a couple of weeks ago, you were saying to me, you were talking about your relationship with Kevin.
Yeah.
And I think this is something that was really stuck out to me. And I don't know, it's kind of like a squirrel moment that I just had. Sorry. But
no, it's good.
You said to me, like, you would go to friends and stuff about like with stuff with Kevin or whatever. We do that. We're girls, right? This is what girls do.
Yeah.
And it really was an eye-opener for me, because I feel like that's what happened in my marriage too.
Yeah.
And I think it happens in a lot, like just not being able to communicate with your husband and just talk to God first. Don't talk to your friends first about it.
Go pray on it first.
Right. Talk to God. So that's where I'm going with that. Like, really
true.
just bring it up to God and see, instead of running to your friends and running to the outside for everything.
For everything. Yeah. It's true. I mean, and whatever, we need that. We need we need our friendships where there's a safe space where you can just talk freely. But yes, it's like, if we're constantly just going to others, I mean, you can say, hey, I'm going to give you an unbiased opinion, but let's be real here. If you come to me, I'm going to give you my opinion because I love you and I'm angry for you. And now my opinion is going to be against whatever
or something
is
that
happening.
You've been triggered by in your past or whatever. Everything's perception.
Yeah.
Everything is somebody, experience and a perception.
And then it's like, if you can't go to God and then you can't have that talk with the person, your spouse, it's like, what are you doing?
Right.
And that was a big change for me too. And I think honestly, it's where friendship fallouts happen. I think some people, for me this year, I've had a lot of friendships fall out, but I don't think it's a bad thing, actually. I think it's a blessing, because it's like, I'm changing. And if you can't accept the changes that I'm making, that's totally fine. But like, boundaries are important. And I no longer want to be like, hey, Kevin really pissed me off today. Here, let me tell you what he did.
Right.
Instead, I'm like, why am I upset?
Right.
And then I'm like, God, help me see why this is upsetting me, but also help me to like, get through this with my husband, and figure it out.
I mean, the same thing with friendships too, like, right? Like if you get mad at one friend and then you run to the other friend, well, what is that really going to do?
I know. It's just like a hamster wheel of not good stuff. And, I always say, like, it's okay and healthy to talk about things, but like, don't make that your first thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, at the end of the day, like, there's things that should be sacred, and not everything that goes on in your marriage should be talked about truthfully with other people.
Yeah, no, I agree on that. I agree.
Even therapy helped me. Like, I started going to therapy, and like, that was amazing for me, because I was like, oh, I can tell you everything
Right. I don't have.
As I should, because you're going to actually help me navigate this instead of going and talking to like a million different people about my thoughts.
Getting every different perspective.
Yeah. It's so
which
healthy.
makes it worse.
I love it. Like, literally love it. I tell everybody, they're like, I'm like, go to therapy and go to church. Just those two things will change your life.
I have a question that just popped in my head. Yeah. You were going to church, but you transitioned to Grace.
Yes.
Because like, I feel like I was like hoping that you were coming, but I never wanted to put it in your face.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the differences.
Yeah.
Like what? Because you were going to church.
Yes.
But not, here and there.
Yeah.
You were going maybe, consecutively, but then maybe stop. Yep. But now you're like, you're in it. So what was the change? I never asked you this question, actually.
Yeah. So I grew up Roman Catholic.
Yep.
Always in the Catholic Church. And then obviously stepped away from going to church. It just doesn't align with me. Right. I don't want to sit, stand, kneel, and pray all day about my sins. I'm going to sin. Yes, Jesus already died for those. We're good. So then I transitioned to Christian faith like, I don't know, years ago. Yeah. Actually, my mom and I used to go to a church in Middletown.
Okay.
And then I was going to a church in Montgomery and I loved it. And I know some people might listen to this and be like, what church was it? It's a great church.
Well,
it's a beautiful church. It's a great church. I still kind of felt like though, there was a part of me that I was like, I still feel like I'm in the Catholic church. Like I still felt that vibe.
Maybe it's because it's bright in there.
Yeah. I don't know if it's like it's bright or there was just something that's like, every time I would go, like I never left with the way I feel right now. Mm-hmm. But I would still go because I knew that I needed to get connected to God. And so I was going and actually I was going and Kevin never wanted to go. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I don't really like it. And I'm like, okay. But the whole time praying, I'm like, God, I really need my husband to come with me because
it's important.
It's important. But I started going again more frequently. It was after I had the miscarriage because that's when I really leaned heavy into faith. And I said to myself, well, I can't just lean on God when I'm brokenhearted. Right. I need him all the time. And even though he's there for me when I'm like, it's kind of like the yo-yo, right? Like how many people have that yo-yo of faith where they're like, let me go to God when things are bad. Right. Or let me go to him when they're good. Or let me be mad at him when things are bad instead of still saying, thank you for doing this for me, And Kevin actually agreed. This is a crazy story I have to share with you guys. So he agreed to go to church with me one day and we're in there. This was like after the miscarriage, a couple months. And we're standing there and they're singing worship and they were singing the song Evidence by Josh. Is it Josh? So I'd never heard it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, the song is so beautiful. And all of a sudden, literally floating in the air in between us was a white feather. Floating. I'm not even, like almost like suspended in air. Like I have goosebumps. It was crazy. And I looked at him and he looked at me and I got like so emotional because I was like, oh, is this like a sign? And I was like, oh, God, it's like so heavy. But it was like so beautiful. And we got in the car and I'm like, Evidence, that's the song. And like this, if this is not evidence for you that we need to like really stay with our faith, like we have to. Hello. Right. And we started going, but he still wasn't going like all the time with me. And then you had invited me shortly after, like to your church. I think you mentioned it a few times. And then finally I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go. I think it was like a Sunday. Kevin probably wasn't coming or I don't remember. I think I came by myself, right?
You came with me. Yeah.
Yeah. And I loved it instantly.
Yeah.
And I knew he would. So the first time that he went, instantly he was like, oh, like I could do this. Like I could go here. Like I love this. And actually it was like one of our first services. It wasn't Pastor Jared. It was a guest, a different guy from, a different campus. And he talked about mental health for men. And he brought up so many different examples of things that we were dealing with in our marriage. And I was like, these are signs. Like in my head, I'm like,
I remember when she came and she was like, please let this be like for Kevin, like directly. Like I remember you saying that to me and you were like hoping. And then
and it was
sure enough.
And now he'll go when I don't, if I can't go or if I'm away with work or whatever, like the fact that he'll go by himself is huge. Cause what, a lot of people don't know is that Kevin actually struggles with social anxiety. Yeah. And so being in a setting like that is not comfortable for him.
And now he goes by himself.
I know.
When you can't go, I'll walk in and there he is sitting by himself.
In the front, no less.
In the front. We sit in the front. Like we're like, love it.
Oh, I'm like very adamant. Listen, front spot.
It's mine.
It's my spot. We get there early. We leave our house like 30 minutes early for a 12-minute drive just to get our front spot. We're crazy.
Like I'll walk in and Ashley, I know she's not coming because she has like, she's either traveling or whatever and Kev's there. I'm like,
yeah. And good. I love that. And even now, like when we go and I like during worship and I hear him singing and it's just like, it's so good. It's so good. It's such a, even in the car, like that's what he puts on to listen to. And it's like, I mean, he still likes his like hood rat stuff.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. But like that's like his music of choice and it makes me feel good. And I'm like, you know, so yeah, that's once you invited me, that was it. There's just the best way to explain it, the switch happened because I felt like I was home. Like I really felt so close to God in that moment. And I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. I felt so connected. And every message, like since then, I'm always like
directly talking to
like I've seen like those funny memes where it's like the people come home from church and they're like, God, did you tell the pastor? But I did. Because it's like, you know, it's like, it's about you. But that's when you know you're in the right place because I never felt that before.
Yeah.
I never really
and
like
I feel
resonated.
like it's even made us stronger as friends.
Absolutely.
We're crying. We go to worship night together where she's wiping my boogers.
I know. And that vulnerability is so beautiful.
It is.
And, you know, I love it for us because
I mean, what friends ever see like cry together, right?
And like pray together.
And pray together.
It's like, that's the other thing too. Think about the priorities that have shifted. It's like friends before it's like, well,
drinking, out,
who's going to party with me instead of who's going to pray with me?
Yeah.
Like, because when the going gets tough, it's like, I don't want the friend that's like, let's go out, get smashed, fuck him. No, I want the person that's like, let's get down on our hand and knees and cry about this.
And pray.
And let's pray. Or pray over me or pray for me. And I think it's so beautiful. Even for our relationship. So what we talked about in the beginning, like how we were like so competitive and like everything. And now look where we are. It's like it's so beautiful. It's really...
It's such a movement.
I know.
I love it.
I know. And that's God working through us, you know?
Truly.
It's so good.
I love you. Proud of you. Proud of me.
Yes,
proud of Kevin. Proud of
I'm so
all
proud
of
of you.
us. You know, our little group, friend group is just,
I know.
It's good.
Yeah.
Good.
It's.
I think we should have what did I say a couple of months ago? Like we should do like a prayer group or something.
I know.
That would be great.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like remember you used to do your things in the park?
Yes.
Do something like that.
Yeah. Prayer in the park.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love
on
that.
the beach.
On the beach. We're changing it up on the beach.
So yeah, me and Ashli have been working together on many different things. This is our first collab. If you guys don't know, we made a beautiful lip kit, Cup of Confidence. Now that name, I love it. Right? It totally fits you. So you could check out this lip kit on sagarbeauty.com. We have our Latte Love lip liner, which is like my favorite. And then the Self Love lip gloss Ashli designed. So yeah, we're really excited about this. So go check that out if you haven't gotten it yet.
I know. It's literally the perfect combination for any skin tone. That's why I really love it because that brown works on like all skin tones. And then the Self Love lip gloss is like, it's not too pigmented, but it's also not like Nothing. So it gives you like, I think you're wearing it right now, right?
I do. I
had it on this morning too, but it's probably all over my coffee cup right now. But I do love it and super hydrating. So I'm not usually a lip gloss girl. And one of my reasons why I loved collabing for you on this was I've loved your glosses. Like I rave about them to everyone. I'm like, it's like buttery. It's like, imagine if you had like the creamiest gloss. Like it's a gloss
not
without
sticky.
that sticky like ick feeling.
And it stays.
And so hydrating, honestly. So good. And it stays for like hours. I love it. Almost has like a little plumping effect too.
Like, it's like numbing, not stinging.
Yeah.
Like numbs it.
But it's good. Not in like a bad way, but it's good and I love it. And I loved that we collabed on this.
Yeah.
It's such a fun thing and I can't wait to see what else we do in the future.
Yes.
You never know, guys.
You never know.
Yeah.
Alrighty, we're going to wrap it up here. Is there anything else about your faith or advice you want to give anybody? You're so good at that.
Oh, thank you. You know, I would say like to whoever's listening or watching this back that number one, if you are somebody that's like a fan of Sarah or myself and you've been like inspired by us or look up to us, whatever the case may be, remember that her and I are not exempt from the obstacles and the challenges that life is going to present you. And we worked really hard to be where we are. And, you know, it's just to be inspired by it and remember like no matter where you are, even if you feel like you're in the lowest of lows, you can come up out of that. And if you're willing to take a step into your faith, I want to encourage you to do so. Like if you've been listening today and you're like, you know, I really feel like this was a sign for me. Like, you know, God's been pulling on my heart and maybe it's time I dive into that. Because, you know, I used to say I was like lukewarm with my faith, like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like, again, always like blaming God when things went wrong instead of being like, hey, thank you for this, you know, because the truth is like, I've used this example before, but like you can't have a storm and then, you know, you can't go through the storm and then be like, oh, you know, there's no rainbow. There's always gonna be a rainbow, right? Like you got to go through the hard stuff basically is what I'm trying to say. But I think if you're in a place where you want to change your life, like now's your chance to do it and anyone can do it. And, you know, I think too, remembering that like just with what you're sharing, right? Like I want to talk about this a little bit really quickly. Like you're sharing like your journey and it's not easy to share it. And even like the whole change with your marriage, right? And everything that you've gone through and your faith, there are all so many vulnerable topics that you've been willing to share openly. And it's such a beautiful thing because it's like, look what, you're not perfect.
No.
And it's not easy for you and you're doing it. And the core of how you're getting through it is your faith.
My faith.
And that's
100%.
what it comes down to. It's like, maybe a year ago, the transitions I went through in my life, I don't even know if I'd be where I am right now if it wasn't for that. So it's like...
Same. If I didn't have my strong core faith right now, I would be not okay.
Yeah. So it's like, I think if anything, I want to remind people, like, even though I always used to say I'm not pushing religion, it's not about religion. Relationship with God is not a religion. It's your faith and your relationship with him, bottom line. And I think if you've been thinking about it and you've been watching Sarah or watching me and you're like, man, there's like a light. They're just so happy. Well, it's not just the highlighter or the good makeup. It's literally God. It's, so like if you've been feeling like you're ready to dive in, I would say do it.
Yeah. I mean, even start with just listening to Christian music. That helps. I mean, it's on my car all day, every day. When I put my makeup on, and that really helps. So
that's part of your self-love. What are you listening to?
Yeah.
Because that really does impact your mood, impacts the choices that you make. So yeah. I mean, that's what I got for right now. I feel like on my heart is like, I think so many people are like on that fence. And I want them to just take the leap of faith and do it. And
for sure.
Yeah.
It helps. And it will make the world a better place.
I know, right? Like, could we all just be a little kinder?
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Adore you. You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, good.
Anytime.
Oh, good. Thank you guys so much for listening. You can join us at sagabeauty.com to listen on my self-love podcast on YouTube, and we'll see you on the next show.
Yay, thank you. Bye.